All right, good morning. This is Pastor TJ coming at you from day one of the stay-at-home order that we just had placed on us. So I just want to make a short video, talk about a couple of the things that we have going on right now. In about a week's time, our life went from normal to not at all. We went from kind of doing things the way that we wanted in life to not being able to do that. Our ability to gather in the ways that we wanted just doesn't exist. Our schools are empty. Toilet paper is somehow a commodity. Fresh tip, we have several rolls at my office, so if you really need a help, I guess let me know. But we also aren't entirely sure how long any of this kind of is going to last for us. For a moment, I just want to talk about the intense speed that all of this changed for us. We're used to having jobs, families, hobbies, rituals, routines, idols, loves, and much, much more that kind of fill the hours of our day. We run around from thing to thing to thing. We take kids to sports. We pursue interests. We go out and do kind of what we want to do. And at a moment's notice, that was kind of all taken away from us. Those options just really aren't there for us anymore. We can't go to the gym like we used to, like we love to. Shout out to CrossFit Fringe. We can't go out and have the great food here in Columbia that we're normally used to and go dine in with our friends. We can't go out and have drinks. No sporting events are happening. Most of the things that kind of filled our lives and filled the hours and minutes and seconds of our day, they're just not there anymore. People found some pretty innovative ways to kind of work around that, and that's been kind of cool to watch from how people have harnessed Zoom meetings and what all they've done. That's been really cool to watch. But here's the deal that I don't think we're talking about, and maybe we should be. Many of our hearts are going to start going through what I call kind of a heart detox in the middle of this. Because the breakneck speed at which our habits are taken away, our heart and mind aren't really going to know how to process that. They're going to be a little bit behind trying to figure out what happened. So basically, we fill our days with all of these things that we find joy and meaning out of. We have hobbies and pursuits and things that kind of fill our hearts up, that give us joy, that give us meaning. And then all of a sudden, all of these things that we go to for joy and meaning, they're just gone. And our heart's going to be trying to figure out, okay, where do I find joy and meaning from now? When all that's taken away, and that's what I'm accustomed to being filled up on, like what in the world am I going to do here? We're going to struggle with that a little bit. You may already be kind of experiencing low-grade anxiety or frustration about that and not know what it is. And I just say, man, it's probably your heart trying to figure out like what in the world? The way I'm used to running is just not available to me. It's going to kind of have to detox off of all the things that it used to go to find meaning. Another side effect of this kind of stay-at-home order and having the routine of our life kind of upended for most of us, not all of us, but for most, is since the pace of life that we normally lead is gone, since the habits aren't available to us, since we are drastically, a lot of us going to slow down in a way that maybe we've never done so before. That's going to mean we're all of a sudden going to have a whole lot of time on our hands where we have to kind of process the things going on in our heart, which might kind of teach us that we have moved so fast for so long that we haven't really had to encounter those things up till now. And that's going to be quite bothersome for some of us as well, just beginning to process the deep things going on there. So just a couple of points in that for this kind of heart detox that I'm kind of talking about here. If you're starting to feel that, if you're starting to feel this weight, maybe this sadness, maybe this frustration, you don't just need 5 easy ways to do self-isolation better. You don't need 10 new innovative ways to possibly do stay at home better. Those could kind of help you, but they may not be the answer. The first step in some of the difficulty that you're running into may actually be to just understand and take comfort in the fact that the struggle that you're going through, you're not alone in. a lot of people are going to be dealing with this. So if you think you're alone and struggling with this, you're not. You're not at all. The second point that I would bring up is, as this heart detox goes on more and more, and maybe the weight of it begins to get larger and larger for you, don't bury it. We're already isolated enough. Reach out, tell someone. I'd be happy to talk with you, to pray with you, to maybe process some of the things going on, but don't isolate yourself further. Speak to somebody about kind of what's going on. The third thing I would say is maybe begin to process why this is such a big struggle for you. Why it's so bothersome to your heart that these things that you normally do are taken away from you. And maybe what you might start to find is the habits and routines that you have kind of conducted for a while, they might have a whole lot more power over you than you may be comfortable with letting them have. And that may be a good thing to kind of process in this time, and then especially start to process for when we end up coming out the other side of this. The Bible uses this language of gods, and what we may find is the rituals that we've been taking part in, they may have been serving as kind of these gods in our lives, essentially these things that give us joy and meaning and comfort in life. And there'll be maybe some functional decisions. Do I want those things to be kind of gods over me later, or do I don't really want those things to have that kind of power? That might be a thing to process a little bit. There's a scripture that I think is kind of relevant to all of us right now, in the middle of the weight and the anxiety and maybe the frustration of having things taken away from us, and maybe even some of the depression that's going to come on not being able to do what we're normally used to doing. Matthew 11 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." These words are actually from Jesus. In the middle of maybe trying to figure out life and figure out kind of how to find joy and peace in the middle of this, I just encourage you to hear those words from Jesus. His words constantly are, "Come to me." Come to me as a place to deal with your sin. Come to me as a place to find peace and joy and contentment. Come to me to have your burdens lifted off of you, which doesn't mean like life be perfect. It's just a place to put the weighty things of your life. So even in the middle of this heart detox, I'd just ask you to remember that the words of Jesus kind of still stand. He's still standing there saying, "Come to me. I can help unburden you. I can be a place to find joy and contentment, even in the middle of just a really chaotic scenario." So for what's that's worth, I hope that's helpful to you. Understand that this isolation is going to cause problems for us and many other people. So give people extra measures of grace. Hug the people who are in your home, and reach out to the friends and family and other people who are not, because they may really need it right now. All right, have a good day.